Oh, can you tell me?
That's both national honor society and national there.
Is Rosie coming?
She's out.
Oh.
It's all. I was the one that except it's just me and that.
To say the least.
I'm glad it's done. It's up there.
I'll be there.
We see it, so
it's funny, this one around. It's still, you know, if I could still walk right there, like you don't feel bad.
Taylor chose it at 5:30. We'll be meeting at 7 to make sure all that's so great.
I don't want to embarrass everybody.
So then they started dancing and I knew which one was CC.
It looks like it's not. Right. We just can't wait at the same time. Give it to us. They'll laugh at us.
We have mine.
It'll be on
Over there.
We're a little.
That's not shy.
So if we both wait at the same time, we might.
Jessica's
That's all right.
Do you want to have
Do you guys want to consolidate this one?
We're gonna. She doesn't have to write a lot of things and then pick out.
Okay.
So yeah, we have fun
Tuesday, November 18th, 2025, meeting of the College School District Board of Directors is called to order. Professor Coos, do you mind leading us to the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will Secretary please call the roll?
Dr. Apple?
Here.
Director Apple, sorry.
Here.
Director Evans? Here. Director Conchar?
Here.
Director O'Brien?
She is not able to be here tonight.
Director Plustar? Here. Director Simsek?
She is not able to be here tonight.
Director Schreiber?
Here.
Director Fagliana?
She is not able to be here tonight.
Director Valetsky, sorry.
and she's unable to be here tonight. I'll apologize, it's a heavy work night tonight. We have a lot of people traveling out of town, so I apologize. But
We have 5 people present.
correct. I will report that we had an executive session prior to this meeting where we talked about informational matters. I will now turn to Dr. Crater for superintendent. Oh, and a personnel matter, thank you. I will now turn to Dr. Crater for the superintendent report.
Thank you, Director Schreiber. Pleased to report that in the past week, the state of Pennsylvania did pass the state budget. The state budget, the way it was signed by the governor, totals just over $50 billion for the state budget, which is approximately a 4 to 5% increase over the previous year. Probably one of the most impactful changes in that budget was the cyber reform, which provides districts with an opportunity to recalculate costs for cyber tuition, which should hopefully ease the financial burden of school districts. Here at Carleton, we're taking a look at that new structure as far as that model, to take a look at what the potential cost savings are for the district. They're a bit detailed in the way that it goes through and takes a look at those funding formulas. So they do go into play this school year. So as this school year progresses, we'll take a look at those numbers and see how it has an impact on our operating budget. Although there were increases across the board, there are some areas that the state looked at, some areas that they curtailed and cut back on, one of which was some environmental incentives that were previously out there for school districts to take advantage of. But overall, the big picture for school districts is having a budget in place is now much more sustainable, helps us provide the outlook and be able to prepare for the 2026 operating budget. As we take a look into financing and moving forward, we'll be in the process of updating our revenue. I believe some of the state money was released already today, and they'll be releasing additional funding throughout the course of the next 2 weeks or so. So I think separating from Carleton, it was not a huge issue on our district as far as our operating, but we, as recognized before, it was a huge impact for our community with a variety of services that come out of the state budget. The state budget is not just entirely for school districts, but also for community members with resources that are provided. So it was definitely a hardship, 135 days going past that deadline. Did have an impact on many of our community members, and we're hopeful now that some districts that had to turn the lights off and send kids home and work remotely, they'll be able to bring students back and provide the services that are extremely valuable to students across the state of Pennsylvania. So very pleased to have it across the finish line. Carnegie renovation project on the board agenda tonight is a motion for the board to approve a little bit over $15.1 million for the Carnegie renovation project. It's a project that we've been working on for several months, going into over a year now, to make sure that we're providing great facilities for our students and for our staff to learn and thrive, to bring them into the 21st century with good, solid educational facilities to work off of. That $15.1 million does not include the soft costs. The soft costs are generally calculated about 20% of the overall project. Soft costs go into administrative fees, surveying fees, a lot of different aspects that are not directly included with the budget of the project itself. Furniture, technology costs, and so on. So within that, that 20%, that additional that goes onto that 15.1. But then onto those base bids, also on the agenda, are the alternative ads that we had looked at as well. So the overall project itself will certainly be something that we're looking forward to. In the coming weeks, as we start to move past the approval phase, then we'll start to take a look at the financing phase of it. That's where we'll have Anthony Ditka from Bond Services provide us with some information. We'll have PNC with Alicia Henry come in to give us some financing options as well, to take a look at the actual final numbers, which are all based off of bond rates and so on moving forward. But based on the bond outlook, we're very confident, very comfortable that this project not only fits within our budget, but provides a great resource for our students, for our staff, and for our community at large. So approving these bids tonight, keep us on schedule, get us to the point where over the next few months, we'll talk about the phasing of the projects. We look to reach out to the community, provide additional information, especially about student drop-off and pick-off, as that will be something that will change with the renovation project and just with construction vehicles being in the way of our normal operations. So that piece we'll reach out, have some open meetings for parents and community members to revisit the program as far as the way that it'll roll out. So as a part of that, a big thank you to our board for their guidance and their leadership in the project itself, for supporting it, for having that innovation to look into the future as far as what our needs are. Big thank you to our architects and to our construction management team from both Drow and Massaro for helping out with the designing phases and the numerous meetings that we've had over the past couple months. And also to Mr. Pater for his leadership in the process of overseeing the project as well. So a lot of thank yous to everybody who provided the input for that. So we're excited to move forward with it, should the board approve that project tonight. Also taking a look, I wanted to give a brief update on the Yonder pouches that we started this year at the junior senior high school. Throughout the process, we chose several factors to measure the implementation of the Yonder pouches, some of which were both quantitative and qualitative type of data that we looked at. As we looked through the data, we looked at data from last year to this year with attendance rates. One of the pieces that we've noticed is that we've increased attendance rates here at the junior senior high school. We've had other initiatives that we believe may have contributed. We're not contributing everything to the Yonder pouches as far as attendance, but we did see an increase in attendance, not only here at the junior senior high school, but we've also seen attendance improvements at the elementary level as well. Along with that, we took a look at data with bullying and harassing types of behaviors. Those have decreased during the first quarter of this year compared to last year. And also took a look at number of class cuts and referrals in regard to that as taking into our data manufacturing and taking a look at that. So overall, the trend that we're seeing with the Yonder pouches from the quantitative part are encouraging. The qualitative part, just through interactions with students and getting feedback from them, is that they do recognize that the mobile devices have had an impact on their attention during class. They are recognizing that now they are able to focus better in class without those disruptions and distractions. And also just the feedback that we received from cafeteria and the analog types of games and playing Uno in the cafeteria has been engagement. So it's nice, it's refreshing to walk through the hallways to be able to make eye contact with students, to be able to talk to them and say hello and get a hello back instead of a look down at the phone. So Yonder pouches have been a success here as far as the rollout. Appreciate the board support. We appreciate parent support. There's a lot of great parent support for the Yonder pouches, and even for our students, although they don't necessarily come right out and say, hey, thank you for taking my phone away, they do notice that it has had an impact on their instruction and learning. So 3 pieces there as far as updates for the board tonight. The state budget, which is a relief, the Carnegie renovation project, which we're excited to move forward with, and update on the Yonder pouches.
Any board questions or comments? I'll quickly add to the budget thing. Dr. Kreyer, Keith, 2 of you did a great job of anticipating this might be an issue of not having state monies coming in, and you planned all summer and appropriately moved money into the right spots and conservative in cash flow, and you were able to keep the district lights on, and so we're fortunate to have that forward-looking approach to the problem. A lot of districts have some big struggles, so thank you for taking that approach. And then secondly, on the renovation project, I appreciate us making a really hard decision in the spring to not vote for that building. And I appreciate the public's patience with us as we saw a budget number that was bigger than we thought we could afford. even though we desperately knew that we needed to do some renovations for that building and wanted it for our kids, we didn't think we could afford to spend that amount of money. And so we made a really hard decision to delay. We took some specific steps to say, we can't get 6 months later and then have it fail again. So we shrunk the size of the scope to guarantee that we could do something. And then we slowly built pieces of it back so that we get the option to say, okay, as the money was available, we could put more and more back into it. But we sort of guaranteed that we could do something. And I'm appreciative that we all were able to take that approach and have the patience to do it. And I think it's going to pay off for all of us here as construction starts next year. So thank you for your patience, and I appreciate my colleagues for our collective patience.
I'd like to also add that we will serve by drawing and sorrow when we're advising us through that process. So thanks a lot for that.
Yes. Any other questions for Dr. Craig? Now we'll move on to committee reports. Director Apple, any updates on TAF? Doctor, yes. I was inspired.
Glad my wife was agree. Parkway, slipping back on my notes from our meeting on the 7th. We're starting our budgeting process really well. With that in mind, that since the Parkway budget is dependent on sending districts' budgets, we want to get their numbers to the districts as soon as possible. Right now, we're looking at a 3% increase in the operating budget, which is under the index. So that's probably the big news. We'll talk more about Parkway later in regards to the items that are on the agenda with the motions to purchase property and finance for district college. But I will say this, that part of the reason for looking at that expanded facility was that Parkway was running out of space. And as such, we, for the first time in I don't know how many years, had more students applying to go to certain programs and there were seats available, which is unfortunate that a student has an interest in a subject and there would be a seat for them. The fact of the matter is that if a kid is enrolled at Parkway, they're guaranteed their seat throughout their time there as long as they keep the grades up. But so we're mostly talking about 9th graders incoming. Parkway serves students from grades 9 to 12, and that came as a result of the 12-7 districts voting in year 2010 to expand it to grades 9 through 12, which really helpful as far as giving the students a comprehensive education, and also one of the bigger things out there is that students earn full certificates, so they can take these certificates and go right to work as soon as they graduate, which is a really valuable thing. So, all that said, we'll talk more whenever it comes time for the vote, but I do have concerns that both of interest in career technical education, I think it was the cosmetology program that maxed out. There's concern, there's a few others that are close to us. Those would be construction, rotation, and also the health rotation. So, something to think about as we go forward, what we're going to do about that in terms of expanding the number of seats that are available to match the interest in the education. I think that's all I have. Thanks.
Director Onshar.
Jeff, the enrollment at Pathfinder is still 84, so it's steady. The problem is we have so many vacancies. We still need one paraprofessional. We still need, no, one was filled. We still need 3 paraprofessionals. We still need 2 building substitutes. And we still need people with the big hearts. We need 6 personal care assistants. These are the people that are one-on-one with the kids in wheelchairs and so forth. So if you know of anybody out there, please apply to Pathfinder through the AIU. The enrollment is 84. Arlington, we have 4 push kids. As far as the inactive funds, we recently got a $110,000 CPF for 12 months at 4%, which Keith is good, right? Okay, end of my report.
Shasta, Dr. Craig Rainey, Shasta, please.
Yeah, for Shasta, Shasta is the South Hills Area School District Association that serves many of the school districts in the southern area side here. Had a legal forum last week that myself and Director Bogliano attended. That session focused mainly on First Amendment speech, and with that, as far as the govern and as far as the limitations on speech and how well it's either protected or unprotected. It covered a lot of the landmark historical types of case law in regard to student speech, employee speech, which was used then as a nexus to expand into artificial intelligence, which now, as far as First Amendment speech with artificial intelligence across the United States, across the Commonwealth, starting to see more and more infringements on First Amendment rights and also disciplinary issues in regard to using artificial intelligence to push out speech that is not necessarily protected, and creating some new types of case law that have been unfamiliar in the past. So it was a good refresher. Just the information for school districts is to make sure that we do have very clear information on protected speech, unprotected speech, making sure that we have good solid policy in the area of artificial intelligence to move forward. So that's something we're taking a look into with Andrews and Price, just in regard to how we modify our administrative regulations and district operating procedures with artificial intelligence.
Legislative PSBA, our board representative is not here tonight, so we've got a nice update from Dr. Kramer on the budget. Anybody else have any legislative PSBA topics? Not moving on to the foundation, our representative for that group is also not here tonight. Anybody have any foundation updates there? First bingo.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Very successful.
All right. That's it. That's all. Okay. Any questions about any reports today? We'll move on. Student representative reports. There is one student here tonight.
One of us is here.
You're in tonight.
You guys are stuck with me.
Perfect. Thank you for being here.
No. So, hello everyone, I am Jackson Keeney, and I'm the student representative for the junior class. Our senior representative is out tonight. She apologizes for that and sends her best regards, as always. I am absolutely honored to have this opportunity to highlight student concerns and at events and activities and all of the such. Other than schoolwork, thankfully. So for our old business on Halloween, which was Friday, October 31st, seniors dressed up in creative and nostalgic costumes gathered in the gym for a lovely group photo. From bananas and pickles to clowns, cats, and witches, the costumes were a complete hit. During homeroom, seniors trick-or-treated through the halls, visiting teachers who handed out candy. It was a fun, spirited morning, and many staff said it was the biggest turnout they have seen in many years. Additionally, the student government held a mandatory meeting on November 5th, discussing their upcoming projects for December, as well as different drink ideas for the cafe. The Black Student Union had a meeting on Thursday, November 6th, to discuss their current balance and social regulations. They're conspiring about future field trips, like going back to August Wilson Center during Black History Month, and just like they did last year, to end off, where was I? There we go. They talked about doing a bake sale in collaboration with student government, like they did last year. And to end off the meeting, they indulged in some snacks and discussing what racism is. They talked about systematic racism, interpersonal racism, and microaggressions that are disrespectful comments towards someone based on their race or identity. On November 7th, there was a Friday night swim gym for the underclassmen and junior high, allowing students to travel to the school to not only get together with their friends in a safe environment, but also help them stay active outside of school. It offers a break from the traditional repetitive, that's what I'll say for that, repetitive gym routine that they see every day, and allows them to enjoy playing games in the gym, swimming in the pool, and refueling at the concession stand. Best Buddies had their monthly meeting on November 13th, where they revealed buddy matches, played fall games, received prizes, and did Thanksgiving crafts to express what they're thankful for. A buddy match is where they pair a student known as a peer buddy with a student known as the buddy. There is an application process where members fill out their interests and hobbies. Then, based on availability and shared interests, the officers of the club create pairs that they think will connect best. National Honor Society induction ceremony took place on Wednesday, November 12th in the school auditorium, which also invited both current and new members. Speeches were given by officer members, as well as Mrs. Steiner, the advisor, and Dr. Kreider, and Dr. Taylor, you were there as well. Thank you both for showing up. We appreciate it. And demonstrating and explaining each pillar: scholarship, leadership, service, and character. Each student was congratulated for all their achievements and dedication to wanting to give back to their community. After the ceremony, members and families were able to enjoy treats and refreshments in the cafeteria. These were catered to the event by Aramark. So for our new business, the Interact Club has an ongoing food drive at CHS from now until December 21st. Homerooms have been challenged to bring in the most non-perishable food for a donut party reward for the top 3 classes on the 27th. We love to all the participants. Additionally, the start of Thanksgiving break is on November 27th until the 1st of December, which means students are excited to eat with their families and give thanks for what they have. For example, many students plan to travel with and help with family meals. Also, as there are several food banks and churches that hold community Thanksgiving dinners, several students have volunteered at those as well. As the holidays approach, it's a reminder to show gratitude not only at home, but within the community as well. As terms are slowly creeping up, without a doubt, one thing they will reflect on this school is the School of Carleton and the privilege it provides for them. Compassionate teachers, engaged peers, and the opportunity to learn and grow. What more could they ask for? That's where my new paper comes in. We have, coming soon, I think we've established in December, we are going to be having the jalapeno popper burger in the cafeteria. I don't know, I was just given this today. So,
Breaking news.
breaking news, hot off the press.
Good, Jackson. Yep. I think they're doing it's a 1-week special with the jalapeno popper burger. It's gonna be just as good as a soft cookie.
That's a great week for our board to check out. What's the week again?
I don't know what week yet.
Okay.
But yeah, that is all I have.
Questions for our student representative? Jackson, I do have a quick report, or a quick question on your report.
Yeah.
Dr. Kreider mentioned the yonder vouchers.
Yes.
I'm assuming that it was a difficult transition going from phones all the time, every time, to limited access. Is the student body largely adjusted now, and what is the general thinking? I know this is a dangerous question, but what is the
Yes.
general thinking about gun adoption?
I would say that the general reception has been not perfect, but it is a solution to a problem, and I definitely think that the upper grades, like seniors to probably 10th graders, definitely see that as what the goal of this is. While they may not agree with the policy,
Right.
the majority of students are definitely following it and definitely trying to adapt.
Wonderful.
I would phrase it that way.
That's fantastic. I'd love to hear feedback over time as that evolves.
Yes, I
I
can-
see things that we love to hear, so.
I can definitely try to put that in the reports from here on out.
Any other questions? No. Moving on, Dr. Taylor, do we have folks in the audience that would like to ask questions on agenda items tonight?
We do, we have two. First is Brittany Bova.
Brittany, stranger to the group.
It's me, sorry. So I just have a comment. I just want to really urge the board tonight to vote for the Carnegie renovation project with the add-ons. I don't know if any of you have been in there recently, but there is a ELL classroom, which is the English language learners classroom, that is in a closet with a shower. That is unacceptable for our students, and with the add-ons, that adds on that extra classroom space above the library. And so if we truly do want to be a district for all students, I really hope that you vote for this project, because that cannot continue to be a classroom for our students. That says very little, that tells our students very little about what we think of them when they're in a classroom with a shower with no windows, no ventilation. So I hope you guys vote on everything for the renovation project, because it's much needed.
Lindsay Bear.
Lindsay Bear.
Hi, Lindsay Barr, that's not a problem. I'm calling to talk, I'm not calling, but it's been a long day, I was late for the meeting from an appointment, but in regards to the personnel voting changes meeting for the position deletions and changing it to a different portion on there, I just have a few questions. What happens to those students who rely on your instructional aid and your life skills autistic support aid in the classrooms? You're going to be taking away those positions and putting them somewhere else. What's going to happen to those students who have already had a whole half of a school year, established a routine, and now the aids that have helped them are going to be removed? That's a huge problem for my son, who is on the spectrum, who has already a school phobia, and this year it has been a huge relief due to the aides in the classroom and giving him the encouragement, and even talking to the teachers at open house and parent-teacher conferences. The aides make a difference in the classroom. What's going to happen to them? Behaviors are going to go. My son follows the same 13 children that he will do from kindergarten till he graduates here if people move out. What's going to happen to those kids? What's going to happen to those teachers? That hurts me to know that they're moving it towards other students, but I know you said that you were looking for positions and looking to hire. I missed that part. But what happens to those students who have already established a routine that depends on these people? If it wasn't for aides this year, my son would be missing, again, 30 plus days, and I'm not running to the pediatrician, I'm not calling the psychiatrist, I'm not calling his behavioral therapist, I'm not having tantrums. This has made my life, these aides this year, he's positive for school. The last couple of weeks, he's had some issues because of removal of aides and switching around, and it's shown in his grades, in his attitudes, in his sickness from school. It concerns me what is going to happen to those students who depend on these aides to be moved somewhere else.
So briefly, just to give you some insight towards that, there was a strategic approach to scheduling on the master scheduling side this year from both the teacher side and the paraprofessional side to free up additional time for paraprofessionals, and through that process, we've noticed duplication of coverage. And so within that, we did see that there were areas where there was additional para support that we have covered with enough staff by taking this movement into consideration. So we really don't see that there's going to be a decrease in services just based on the way that we have the coverage model set up. Certainly, Life Skills Autistic Support is a program that we value, that we do recognize the great work that our paraprofessionals do, because they do have a huge impact on our students with the way that they approach their daily responsibilities, which are quite intense throughout the course of the school day. But we are confident that we have enough coverage to cover life skills, autistic support, and then also just the general instructional aid as well.
Okay, that's great. I appreciate you talking about double coverage and items like that. What happens to the aides that were not fulfilling their job and doing what they were doing and going above and beyond, really encouraging the students? Those aides that just give answers and not make the children think. So with that, I don't know how people are judged or evaluated when you go through reviews or whatnot, if they do that. What happens to those ones that just let the kids pass, but the ones that actually are trying and working and doing an amazing job? What happens to them if they're the ones that are not there anymore?
I'm not sure if I heard that part of your initial statement as far as.
So depending on elimination positions, I'm sure it's going to be the newer hired people that are going to be switched to this, or are they bidding on new jobs to see?
They go through a bidding process.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Taylor, that's it. All right, thank you. Moving on then, we have our section 3 of our agendas. We've got approval of previous meeting minutes. I'll entertain a motion to approve both numbers 1 and 2 under that section 3. Moved and seconded. Thank you. Any questions or comments?
Just one quick comment. For the minutes on the committee meeting from last week, we did discuss the soft costs in the meeting last week. They were not included in the minutes. So I just want to make it clear that the soft costs were not included. And then on the roofing project, we discussed potentially rolling costs for the roof into the bond if there's room there, and just want to make it clear within the minutes that we did discuss the financing of those things.
Any other comments or questions? If not, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Under section 4, we've got 3 items. I'll entertain the motion to approve all 3 items in section 4 employee.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Thank you. Any questions or comments? If not, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Under section 5, finance, let's break this up a little bit. We have a couple of key items that we should address separately. So let's do the first motion for items 1, 2, and 6. 1, 2, 2, and 6 under section 5. I have a motion for items 1, 2, and 6 under section 5.
So
Second.
Moved and seconded. Thank you very much. Any questions or concerns about those 3 items? If not, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. So let's look at the Carnegie renovation project, section 5.3. Dr. Cutter had a detail. We had a great meeting last week, and Dr. Kushar brought up details of that, which I appreciate. I'll entertain a motion to approve item 5.3.
So, second.
Moved and seconded. Thank you. Any questions?
I would just like to respond to those comments and say that I agree. I think that this, as I said all along, this is addressing a very sorely felt need in that school. And, you know, to your point about the classrooms in the former locker rooms, something we've known about. I mean, all credit to our staff for finding space that we can use for these classrooms. We knew all along it wasn't a permanent solution. And this is a big part of the reason why it's so difficult and emotional back in April, whenever we got those bids that came in higher than we could afford. So I am very excited about this project. I think this is going to benefit students and staff an awful lot. And, you know, that building footprint of that hasn't been touched really for
There's some light upgrades in 2013, but
The footprint.
footprint, yeah, since it was built in 58, that's it.
Come on. So. Fair. Yeah, so I'm excited.
Any other? I'll quickly add, because of the patience that we all showed, we saved the district $2 million-ish. So that's $2 million of tax increases we don't have to have, $2 million of cuts in other places we don't have to have, just because we all collectively showed patience. So it was all of us for being patient.
Well, I mean, you know, the sad thing is it wasn't full scope of what we wanted before. I mean, obviously, we would have loved to have had those classrooms above the current auditorium, and that's a shame. But, you know, it's something you need to balance the ability of the district to pay for, you know, I'm happy with the compromise. I'm not happy we don't have those classrooms, but we did get the vast majority of what we were.
Just a point of clarity, Dr. Honorable Director Apple. One of the add alternates does put one classroom above. The original bid was for multiple classrooms above the library, which would have relied on quite a bit of additional structural steel, which put it out of our financial reach. But, so there is an add alternate that we're bidding on that we discussed last week to put the classroom above the auditorium and a restroom. Yes, thank you. I just don't want anyone to interpret it.
Any other questions or comments on item 5.3? If not, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Do you need a roll call vote on this?
Yeah.
We got it.
We're ready.
The next one we should look at is 5.4. 5.4 is the purchase of property for our CTC Parkway West. We've talked about it a couple times in the previous board meeting. It's a bit of a complicated topic. We'll address board in comments, I guess, in the middle of the vote. But let me first entertain a motion to approve item 5.4, purchase of a property for Parkway West.
So moved.
Second, any questions, comments?
I have comments. Other people have
You
comments.
can provide context, especially for the public, to do that, but brief review of what this is.
I will try to be brief. It's a lot like our Carnegie Road renovation project in that this has been something that is the result of a facility study and then engaging with architects to look at ways to expand the CTC campus just off the Parkway, if you're not familiar with where it is. Near the Boston Town Center. In the middle of all that, it became apparent that Pittsburgh Technical College, which is about 3 or 4 miles down the road, they were going to go out of business. It was a for-profit technical college with a relatively new campus. So our director and his staff took a long look at this place and determined the facility study came up with a number of renovating, the existing facility. The purchase price for the technical college, it was a large amount of property, and we didn't offer them purchase all of it, but we were able to negotiate a price of $12.2 million to purchase a pretty enormous building, an outbuilding, starting equipment, welding facilities, and as I recall, about 40 acres for $12.2 million. Take into context that our renovation in Carnegie Elementary is $15 million. That's not cost involved. So that of course, you need to renovate somewhat to that building, and that would it would cost significantly more than the purchase price, but it was still determined to be less than what the renovation of the existing facility would be. So what you see on the agenda is a motion to purchase the property, and then another motion to finance the purchase of the property. The reason for that is that the CTC is a jointure of 12 school districts. And so really what it is it's an extension of our building, our facilities. And correct me if I'm wrong, but we've raised 9 through 12, around 400 some students, 100 of them go to Park. So that's 104 students. It's a big part of our education. So in order to purchase that, what needed to happen was the majority of the board members of 12 sending districts would have to vote in the affirmative. Now, for the financing, the CTC, by its charter, is unable to borrow money. So each of the districts would have to, and this is what we would be voting on, would have to finance their portion of the purchase of that property and the money to renovate. But that's a little different in that it has to be each board passing the majority of each board. So, and if one of those boards doesn't pass that resolution, then it is null and void the whole deal. Now, I'll tell you upfront, I know that these 3 districts have already voted on this and have voted not to finance. So what we're looking at here is it's already a done deal, but I feel like this is an important vote for us because we send so many students to Parkway, 25% of our 9 through 12 graders, and I feel like this is something that we need to support. I'm encouraging the public board members to support it. And it's not just symbolic; it's also putting our mark down as an intention that we do need to invest more in Parkway education because population of it is growing. We're already getting to the point where certain programs, all the seats are full. And every child is entitled to an education, career education if they want it. So that means there's not a seat at Parkway for them. They have to find somewhere else to go. And that can get very expensive. You're transporting a student to another CTC and paying the tuition in that CTC. So I feel like the boards that voted against this are being short-sighted and not valuing career technical education. They all have their reasons. But yeah, that's where I stand.
Any other comments or questions?
Yeah, I want to say that in case any of the other districts are watching us tonight, it's a shame that they're thinking so parochially, because we're not a district of 3 buildings, we're a district of 5, including Parkway and Pathfinder, and we need to vote yes on this purchase, whatever happens afterwards.
And
So we have a career technical center, a career tech center, so that Carleton does not have to have an auto pay. So that Carleton does not have to have its own welding program. So that Carleton does not have to buy equipment alone that costs millions of dollars, so that we can provide this education for our students. You all know that in my professional career, I worked for the Workforce Development Board. 40% of the jobs in the Commonwealth by 2036 will require more than a high school diploma, but less than a 4-year degree. 24% of the workforce in Allegheny County in healthcare and in construction will retire in the next 10 years. And then all of those healthcare workers become super users of the system they're retiring from. My fourth grader will be graduating from high school in 8 years. If she graduates with a certification from Parkway, she can then go directly into the workforce if she chooses, or most of the programs of study at Parkway come with college credit attached to them. Some with a full semester of college credit attached to them. That is $20,000 that I do not have to pay as prepared to go and get those college credits. Career and technical education means college, it means career, it means investing in the children in our district, and it is short-sighted not to do it. So I would encourage our vote to be informative on both of these resolutions, despite the fact that we know that they will not be approved. I'd rather join this.
Any other comments? If not, let's vote on item 5.3 and 20 year recommending roll call.
5.1.
And 5.4. It needs to be provided with a roll call allowed here for item 5.4. Of the 5 present members.
Director Rathon,
Yes.
Director Evans,
Yes.
Director Honchar,
A very loud yes.
Director Postma,
Yes.
Director Schreiber.
Yes. Great. Motion passes. Thank you all for your comments. Item 5.5 is an accompanying motion to the 5.4 we just did, and building off of what Director Rathon shared, this is the financing of that proposed purchase, which we all know is not going to happen because the structural requirements that Parkway has fallen through and other districts cannot support. So we're going to make a procedural and somewhat symbolic vote on authorizing the financing of that purchase. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the 5.5 financing for that Parkway.
I salute.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Thank you very much. Any comments or questions?
Again, I'd just like to say, I really appreciate the college comments. I agree with more of it. I think, again, that this is an important vote to take because we're going to have to do something at some point. Okay? And this is Carleton stating their intentions and their will to do something. Whatever that something is, whether it's re-examining the renovations of the existing facility part of the west, or maybe that property out of Parkway or at Pittsburgh Career Technical Center, Pittsburgh Technical College, I'm sorry, is still available. And that might become a solution. I don't know, but that's all I have.
Any other comments or questions? I'd like to quickly add that I voted for the first measure and I will be voting for this one as well. But I disagree with the proposal that Parkway has provided us on the size and scope of the project and the financing that would be required from us. And I think you mentioned this in previous weeks, we have not had a detailed budget discussion on this topic because we knew it was going to die. We found out it was going to die anyway. But for us to be able to afford $250,000 a year for 30 years to pay for this might have been more than we could afford. So the rough purchase acquisition cost of the property was 12 to 13 million. The proposed renovation was 40 or 50 or so. There might have been something in between those numbers that might have been more palatable for more districts. My suspicion is that some districts said, our budget can't afford what this proposal says, so we're gonna have to say no, even though hopefully either many or all of them agree with the comments that Director Kuchar shared, where we all recognize the value of this type of education, value for our families, the value for our economy, value for all of us who locally need a plumber, an electrician, a carpenter to work on our homes and help us keep our lights on. And those talented individuals are very smaller numbers. So this kind of education is extremely important. I'm a huge fan of the program that Darby has built upon and has grown. They've doubled their attendance and the 10 years that Joe, or 15 years that Joe's been working with them, so he's done a phenomenal job. I will vote for it, but I need to say on the record that I would not vote for this if it actually had dollars attached, because I don't know what we can afford. So that's an odd thing to come out of my mouth, but I wanted to say it out loud and be on the record. Any other?
Well, no, I appreciate your comment, and I would just clarify that the point you made about we haven't had a budget discussion because it's already in a letter. Dr. Copeland had scheduled time to come to present to this board. So, I mean, it's not like we would have been voting on something, you know, we don't know, or you would have known, and we would have had an informed discussion about it.
Any other comments or, okay. All those in favor, oh, thank you again. Can you do a roll call vote for item 5.5?
Director Apple,
Yes.
Director Eddings,
Yes.
Director Bonchar,
Yes.
Director Christar,
Yes.
and Director Schreiber.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. We've already passed item 6, so that closes out section 5. Under section 6, personnel, we have 2 items, items 1 and 2.
Jim, I do have a question.
Yes.
For one or the other vote, we needed each one of us counted. So did we lose anything from having people absent tonight? We were missing more.
Technically, yes, we'll submit the votes, and what Parkway does for one of those motions is they count up the number of individual board members who voted in the 12-member district. That number had to reach 55 in order for that to pass. So there's 5 votes from Arlington going to it. 4 other members be here and be present, would have been potentially 4 more to the affirmative. Whether or not that has a play in the long run.
That's the explanation.
Under section 6, personnel, I'll entertain a motion to approve items 1 and 2.
Second.
Moved and seconded, thank you very much. Any questions or comments? Vote, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
What do the initials POLA stand for?
Hologram. It's a program that we're bringing to shop for students learning these policies.
Under section 7, student activities, I'll entertain a motion to approve the single item under that section. Thank you. Second? Moved and second, thank you very much. All those in favor, any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Under section 8, policies, we have 3 items. A motion to approve the 3 items. Thank you. Do I have a second from one of my colleagues? Okay, thank you very much. Moved and seconded. Any questions or comments? Vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Old business. Any recommending old business they would like to bring up today? New business. Any recommending new business? None. Do we have any open forum questions?
We have 2. So the first is Sarah Reeder.
Sarah Reeder, open forum question.
Hi. I'm Sarah Reeder. I'm representing our garden club at Grafton Elementary.
Yes.
I had some questions about some of the plantings that we're allowed to do. Grafton Borough has received a grant and are able to provide some vegetation for us along Grafton Boulevard. There are three beds in front of the building and a grass section along the playgrounds that we could potentially plant these plants in. In order to use this grant money, we have to get the plants in the ground this fall. If we don't get them in the ground this fall, we lose the money. It doesn't exist in the spring. I have put together a list of plants that we would like and that we think that the grant will cover. What I'm requesting from the board is permission to proceed with planting, the things that I have requested. I would like to, let's see, for the 3 flower beds, one of them being already received permission, from facility director and from principal to plant perennials in it. The grant will not cover perennials, it's only covering ground cover, shrubs, and trees. I'm guessing because they're considered lower maintenance. So what we would like to do is, the center bed right now that has the marquee sign in it is currently grass, completely grass, and it has to get mowed all the time. We would like to replace that with plants that are native that don't have to be mowed. We're requesting creeping juniper and winehouse. And then prairie smoke is another one, it's a grass. So I'd like to know if it's possible to get the board's approval for that to move forward. And if not, I'd like to discuss, is there a way to move forward in the future if something like this were to happen? What procedures would you like us to go through?
I think the district has embraced the idea of partnering with you to plant some stuff. I think the administration has expressed concern for safety purposes. We don't want to touch the middle bed because there's electric wiring right there. So we don't want to subject you to, hazards and electrical, whatever. We don't want to subject you to hazards. But I think the other beds were embraced, and I think you're anecdotal.
Yeah.
Grass between the playground fence and the sidewalk. And we were thinking of putting low bush blueberry, which is drought tolerant, deer resistant, and it only gets about 2 feet tall.
Okay. Yeah, the 2 beds I was familiar with, not as familiar with the planning around that fencing area, but I think that's something that we can definitely take a look at and get a green light for that very quickly to get that moving. But and I believe there's also some property across with the parking lot, if that ever wants to be embellished.
Yes.
That's an area that can be livened
We will
up.
engage the students to design that in the future. But since we don't have money for that yet, and we do have money for this, that's why we're pushing for this.
Yeah, I think it's an exciting effort. I think it's a great opportunity for our kids, a great opportunity for our community, a great way to showcase work in a different way, as far as students taking pride in that. So if we get, Mr. Pater, do you have the final schematics of those? What we can do?
I have a sketch from Mrs. Reederson.
So what we can do is,
With the design.
we can initial off on the parts that are approved.
Okay, that would be very
And we can get you started probably as quickly as tomorrow, the next day.
Thank you.
Are these all ornamental plants, or are they?
They're all native.
But are they ornamental, or are they like vegetables and produce?
Oh, no, they're, well, the blueberry bushes are edible. None of them are, it's not crops.
They're flowers.
Yes, we have plans for a vegetable garden bed, but it would be later in the spring.
Thank you for bringing that. Hopefully that positively answers your question.
Thank you.
Brittany, you're back.
Yeah, I just have a question for Director Apple, about Parkway, and I should have asked before. So, right now where it stands, are they full, like with these other districts not agreeing and moving? Is there gonna be a softened enrollment of sending kids there, or where? I know some of the districts, I know which districts voted no, and so I'm just curious, how does it work now? Are they full, or?
So it goes by program. Like I was saying earlier, the cosmetology program is currently the one that this year they had to sell some kids that were in seats. That doesn't mean that the students didn't go to Parkway, it just means that wasn't their preferred program. But the construction rotation, so first year students are required to take the rotation. So they'll go through carpentry, electrical, that sort of thing, just to get them an idea of what they might be interested in, because, you don't know until you know. So, yeah, it's not a dire situation right now, but the trends have, Director Shriver said, we're at 1,400 students right now. And whenever I started as the Parkway rep for Arlington, I think we were at about 700 total. You know, students go in the morning and in the afternoon. And there's a little bit of
Overlap.
yeah, but yeah, I mean, it's something that if you don't start planning for it now, it's coming. I mean, there's just no
Do you
question.
get a certain number of seats per program, or how does it?
So, we don't as of now, but this is a policy that, is kind of based on it's the 1967 agreement, as Director Kushner described, you know, so that each district didn't have to have its own workshops and everything. So, there are districts that are a lot larger than Carmel that don't send as many children. I mean, just as a total, right?
Yeah, like percentage.
As a total too. Yeah, I mean, but that's also changing. I mean, there's more interest in career education, and it doesn't just have to be, you know, your kind of traditional things like robotic. We've got health, education includes robotic, sports medicine, and so, yeah, I mean, we're concerned that sooner or later, we're gonna run out of seats, and then it's gonna have to be allocated based on, like, the number of seats that it's, our contribution is based on population of the senior class.
Correct.
Yeah, so then you would also, you know, since you're using that as your percentage for your contribution, according to the agreement, it could also be then that, you know, there's 50 seats in cosmetology, and we're one of the smaller districts out there, we could be entitled to like maybe 6 or 7. So, nobody wants that. We all want, you know, if the student has an interest, want them to be able to pursue it. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Do any board members have any open forum questions? Okay.
All good.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. So moved and second. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. We are adjourned. Thank you.